What if a random online game could completely change your life? Alex, a model husband, never imagined that an innocent acquaintance with a girl in the virtual world would turn into real passion, dangerous secrets, and a risky game on the verge of exposure. But one day everything spins out of control, and now every message he sends could become the last brick in the collapse of his own family. But before we begin, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments which city you are watching from and what time it is there. I'm really curious to see who's joined us. Now, get comfortable. We're starting. Alex Stevens had always considered himself a loyal husband, married for 7 years to Sarah, a loving and driven woman. He found comfort in routine. Work, dinner, the low hum of their suburban life, somewhere in the endless sprawl of the United States. Yet, lately, a subtle emptiness had grown inside him. Hard to explain, harder still to confess. Sometimes, late at night, after Sarah fell asleep, Alex escaped into the universe of online gaming. A world where he could be anyone, say anything, and chase adventures that real life never seemed to offer anymore. That was where he first met Emma. It started as a random team match in the game Kingdom Realms. Alex's avatar, a knight in shining armor, joined forces with a clever sorceress who called herself Luna Mist. Her quick wit and playful banter made him smile, then laugh out loud. They won, then played again. Soon, gaming nights became a ritual. One evening, Emma sent Alex a friend request. He hesitated for a moment, then clicked accept. Chatting outside the game felt strangely thrilling, lighter, more personal. They talked about strategies, music, little things from their days. Emma sent him a selfie. Nothing provocative, just her sitting by a window, sunlight catching in her long, slightly wavy, light brown hair. She wore a soft, pale grey sweater that hugged her figure, accentuating a slim waist and gentle curves. In the photo, she smiled shyly, one hand brushing a lock of hair behind her ear. Below the frame, Alex imagined the rest. Her figure, as hinted in her description, slender, but with subtle feminine lines mid-height, a round, athletic bottom filling out her faded jeans. Her face, framed by those russet waves, seemed warm and approachable, with sparkling hazel eyes and a gentle curve to her lips. Their chats deepened. With each night, the conversation became more playful, full of teasing and unspoken invitation. When Emma shyly confessed she liked delicate lingerie, Alex's imagination ran wild. She described in just enough detail the soft blush pink lace of her favorite bra, supportive but graceful. The cups perfectly fitted to her modest but alluring bust. She confessed to loving the way the lace felt against her skin, how it peeked just slightly under her sweater when she leaned forward. Her body was lean but not skinny, the kind that spoke of regular yoga and the occasional indulgence. Hips softly rounded, a flat stomach, and a perky, toned rear. Alex, alone in his dimly lit study, felt his heart pound faster. The boundaries between fantasy and reality blurred. They exchanged more photos, always tasteful, always on the edge. One night, Emma sent him a shot from behind, her back bare above the waistband of her jeans, pale skin glowing in the soft lamplight, the hint of pink lace peeking out. Her hair tumbled over one shoulder, hiding half her face. Alex felt a surge of desire, his fingers trembling over the keyboard. Their words became bolder. In one late-night conversation, they let their fantasies spill out. Emma described the feel of his hands tracing her waist, his lips brushing the curve of her neck. Alex wrote back, telling her how he imagined undressing her, revealing each inch of skin, his breath warm against her bare shoulder. Their dialogue was charged, but never crass. A slow build of longing that left both their hearts racing. For Alex, it was both an escape and an awakening. The thrill of new desire mingled with guilt, but he could not stop. In the mornings, he tried to focus on daily life. Work meetings, bills, small talk with Sarah over coffee. But Emma lingered in his mind, her voice in his headset, soft and teasing. Her photo in his phone, a secret reminder of a life outside his own. One Saturday, Sarah noticed him smiling at his phone and asked, "Who are you texting?" Alex, startled, lied, "Just Chris from the office, talking about weekend plans." Sarah didn't push, but her eyes lingered a moment too long. Alex felt a prickle of guilt. But the anticipation of his next chat with Emma quickly drowned it out. Their game friends, Chris, Brian, and Jessica, remained oblivious. In the group voice chat, Emma was always friendly, sometimes a little flirtatious, but no one seemed to notice anything special between her and Alex. Only Alex picked up on the private meanings in her words, the secret messages woven between lines of casual banter. The more they talked, the more Alex craved her attention. When Emma suggested they switch from messaging to a video call, he felt both nervous and exhilarated. He made sure Sarah was out running errands, then dialed Emma's number. She appeared on screen, sitting cross-legged on her bed, laptop perched on her knees. She wore a cozy grey sweater, her favorite pink lace bra just visible beneath the soft fabric, her jeans hugging her curves. They talked about everything and nothing, the game, favorite movies, childhood stories. Emma's laughter made Alex's chest ache with something he had not felt in years. The conversation turned softer, more intimate. Emma asked Alex what he would do if she were there beside him. Alex hesitated, then described running his hand along her bare arm, letting his fingers drift to her waist, feeling the rise and fall of her breath. Emma blushed, looking away from the camera, then slowly slipped one side of her sweater down, revealing a smooth shoulder and the delicate strap of her bra. She met Alex's gaze and smiled shyly. Alex could barely breathe, his imagination filling in the rest. They shared words and silences heavy with meaning, the intimacy of the moment leaving both flushed and trembling. After the call, Alex sat in the quiet of his study, his heart pounding, his mind whirling with possibilities. For the first time in a long time, he felt alive. That night, as he lay beside Sarah, listening to her steady breath in the darkness, Alex wondered where this new path might lead, and whether he was ready for what came next. Days passed, and the line between Alex's virtual and real lives became dangerously thin. He caught himself daydreaming at work, checking his phone every few minutes for Emma's messages. The anticipation was addictive, more intense than anything he had felt in years. Their chats drifted further from gaming and more into dreams, confessions, and, increasingly, gentle fantasies of meeting face to face. Then, one Tuesday evening, Emma surprised him. "I'll be in your city this weekend. Would you like to meet for coffee?" Alex's pulse quickened. He reread the message at least a dozen times before replying with a cautious yes, trying to sound casual, though his heart thundered. He lied to Sarah, telling her he had an old college friend passing through and they were meeting up to talk about work. She nodded, only half listening, busy scrolling on her phone. Saturday arrived with a hush of spring rain. Alex picked his most flattering shirt, ironed it twice, and paced the house, rehearsing conversations and fighting off nervous guilt. He messaged Emma before leaving. "Looking forward to seeing you. I'll be there in 20 minutes. The cafe was small, cozy, filled with the scent of roasted beans and the quiet hum of soft jazz. Alex arrived early and waited by the window, palms sweaty. When the bell above the door jingled, he looked up, and there she was. Emma looked exactly as he had imagined, and yet somehow even more striking. She wore a light cream-colored dress, soft fabric hugging her slender frame, the skirt brushing just above her knees. The dress had a delicate, scooped neckline and a dramatic open back, exposing her smooth skin and the subtle hint of a white, seamless bra strap beneath. Her legs were long and shapely, ending in tasteful nude pumps with a modest heel. A miniature purse swung gently at her hip. Her russet brown hair was swept into a high ponytail, a few strands falling loose to frame her warm, lightly freckled face. She wore little makeup, just enough to brighten her eyes and accent her natural, gentle beauty. For a moment, Alex was speechless. Emma's smile was soft but knowing, as if she could see every racing thought in his head. "Hi, Alex," she said, voice gentle but teasing. "You look nervous. Am I that intimidating in real life?" Alex chuckled, recovering. "Just a little. You're even more beautiful than in your photos." Emma blushed, glancing down as she slipped into the seat across from him. The conversation started awkward, then found its rhythm, talking about the game, laughing about their first disastrous match, joking about in-game rivals. Emma's laughter was a melody, her gestures light, her eyes bright with hidden sparks. Occasionally, her hand would brush his on the table, a casual touch that sent currents of heat through him. Alex found himself watching her hands, long, delicate fingers with short, neat nails. Her wrists slender the way her collarbone caught the cafe's golden light. When she shifted in her seat, the hem of her dress rolled up just a fraction, revealing smooth thighs, the curve of her waist, the gentle arch of her back, the almost imperceptible outline of her bra. Beneath the light fabric, all of it felt like a secret invitation. After an hour, Emma suggested a walk in the rain. They strolled beneath one umbrella, the city shining with puddles and neon reflections. She slipped her arm through his, and Alex, breathless, drew her closer. They talked about everything: music, childhood memories, silly fears, then lapsed into a comfortable silence, listening to the rhythm of the rain. Eventually, Their walk led them past a small hotel. Emma glanced up at him, eyes wide and uncertain. "Would you like to come up for tea?" she asked, almost in a whisper. Alex hesitated for only a moment before nodding. The hotel room was small, neat, smelling faintly of soap and fresh linen. Emma slipped off her shoes, standing on tiptoe to hang her purse. Alex set down the umbrella, suddenly shy. Emma stood before him, hair slightly damp from the rain, cheeks flushed, dress clinging to her curves. She smiled and reached for his hand. "I'm glad you came," she whispered. The air between them changed, growing thick with tension. Alex stepped closer, letting his hand rest lightly on Emma's waist. She looked up at him, lips parted, eyes searching his face. Slowly, almost hesitantly, she leaned in, her lips brushing his in a feather-light kiss. He responded, deepening the kiss, his arms slipping around her back, fingers tracing the bare skin above her dress. Emma's hands found his shoulders, drawing him nearer. Emma's dress slipped from one shoulder, revealing more of her delicate, smooth skin and the strap of her white bra. Alex kissed her shoulder, then her neck, his hands trembling as he gently slid the dress further down. Emma let the dress fall in a soft puddle around her feet, revealing her white, seamless bra and matching panties. Her body was slender, toned but not angular. Her breasts small and perky, no more than a handful, perfectly proportioned. Her waist curved gently into her hips, her bottom round and firm, thighs graceful. Alex paused, awestruck by her beauty, meeting her gaze for permission. Emma nodded, her eyes bright, her breath shallow. He traced her hip, letting his hand run along the band of her underwear. Emma shivered and arched against him, her hands finding the hem of his shirt and lifting it over his head. They kissed again, slower now, savoring each gentle touch. Alex unfastened her bra, letting it slide away, revealing soft, flawless skin and the gentle curve of her chest. Emma pressed herself to him, their bodies molding together in a dance of tenderness and curiosity. They made love quietly, sweetly, every movement careful and reverent, as if discovering something sacred. Afterwards, they lay side by side, fingers entwined, heart racing. Outside, the rain fell softly against the window. Emma curled up against him, her head on his chest, hair spilling in russet waves over his skin. For a long moment, neither spoke. When Emma finally broke the silence, her voice was barely above a whisper. "I never thought I'd do something like this," she admitted, eyes fixed on the rain-streaked glass. "But with you it feels right." Alex stroked her hair, lost in the wonder of the moment and the guilt that tugged at the edges of his mind. For now, he let the feeling linger, refusing to ruin it with questions or regret. After a while, Emma sat up, slipping back into her dress. Alex watched her, admiring the graceful lines of her body, the easy confidence with which she moved. She turned and smiled as if reading his thoughts. "Come on, let's get some actual tea," she said, voice light. They laughed, moving together to the tiny kitchenette, sharing more quiet moments. Hands brushing, eyes meeting, Smiles exchanged. The chemistry between them simmered, never quite fading. But beneath the happiness, Alex sensed something else, a tension he could not name. Emma was warm and open, but sometimes her gaze drifted, her expression growing distant. There were pauses in conversation where she seemed to be weighing something unspoken, as if holding back a secret. Before leaving, Alex touched her cheek, memorizing the softness of her skin. "Will I see you again?" he asked, almost afraid of the answer. Emma smiled, her eyes shining with a mix of promise and mystery. "Of course," she replied, but there was a flicker of something else, something unreadable, behind her smile. Outside, Alex felt the cool rain on his face, his body still tingling with memory and anticipation. As he walked home, he wondered what he had started, and whether he was ready for the complications that were sure to come. In the days following their hotel encounter, Alex floated through life as if under a spell. Even mundane tasks felt electric. He would recall the way Emma's dress slipped to the floor, the heat in her eyes, and catch himself smiling for no reason. He lived in a split reality. By day, the steady hum of marriage and work. By night, the thrill of stolen messages and sweet memories. But paradise is never as simple as it first appears. Sarah soon sensed the change in her husband. He was distant, distracted, more attentive to his phone than to her. She noticed how he lingered in the shower, or typed furiously on his laptop late into the night, claiming to finish work. Sometimes he'd come to bed long after midnight, smelling faintly of rain and something she could not name. One evening, as Alex lay beside her, Sarah rolled over, facing him in the half-dark. "Are you all right?" she asked softly, brushing her hand over his chest. "You've been so far away lately." Alex kissed her forehead and mumbled something about work stress, but the words felt empty, even to him. Sarah said nothing more, but her eyes lingered on him a few moments longer, full of questions. Alex tried to shake his guilt, but it clung to him, growing heavier with each passing day. Emma, too, was different after their night together. She messaged him often, sweet, playful, yet with an undercurrent of something more serious. Sometimes she was bright and teasing, sometimes withdrawn, giving vague reasons for her silences: work, friends, travel. There were nights she would vanish entirely, leaving Alex to pace his kitchen in restless confusion. Once, in the game, Alex and Emma played a dungeon with Chris and Jessica from their guild. Emma was cheerful, cracking jokes, but when Alex whispered a private message, "Are you free later tonight?" she only replied, "Maybe. I'll let you know." The seed of worry took root. Was she losing interest? Had he imagined their connection? It was late one Wednesday when Emma finally messaged, "I need to tell you something. Can we meet tomorrow?" Alex's stomach twisted with anticipation and dread. He could not sleep that night, replaying every moment, every word, wondering what secret she was hiding. The next evening, Alex met Em at her small rental apartment. She opened the door in casual clothes, soft faded denim shorts, and a sky blue crop top, her hair loose and wavy, falling to her shoulders. Her feet were bare, toenails painted a gentle lilac. The air inside smelled faintly of vanilla and fresh laundry. "Hey," she said, stepping back to let him in. Her voice was soft, her eyes serious. They sat on the couch. Emma drew her knees up, wrapping her arms around them, and stared at the wall for a moment. "I haven't been honest with you," she began, "about everything." Alex's heart pounded. He forced a smile, trying to sound light. "About what? Are you secretly a villain in the game?" Emma shook her head, lips trembling with a smile, but her eyes did not. "No, it's just I knew about your marriage before we ever met in real life. I knew from the start, Alex. I looked you up. When we started talking, I found your profile on social media. I saw the photos, Sarah's posts. I even saw her once when I went to that gaming convention last month. I picked you on purpose." The room seemed to spin. Alex stared at her, struggling to process her words. Why?" he whispered. Emma twisted a strand of hair around her finger, her gaze flickering away. "I wanted something I shouldn't. The excitement, the risk. I thought I could handle it, that it would be just a game. But after meeting you, it's not just a game anymore." A silence hung between them, heavy and raw. For a long moment, Alex just sat, unsure what to say. Finally, Emma stood and walked to the window, staring out at the city lights. Her shorts clung to her hips, and the hem of her crop top rode up to expose a line of bare skin at her waist, a soft dip in her lower back. Without thinking, Alex crossed the room to stand beside her. "Emma," he began, his voice faltering. She turned, eyes bright with worry and something else. Fear, maybe, or longing. He reached for her, tracing the bare skin at her waist with trembling fingers. Emma closed her eyes. Leaning into his touch, Alex bent to kiss her. Gentle at first, then deeper as the distance between them vanished. Emma wrapped her arms around his neck, pressing her body to his. Alex slipped his hands beneath the hem of her crop top, caressing the smooth skin of her stomach. Feeling the rapid rise and fall of her breath, Emma pulled her shirt over her head and tossed it aside. Underneath, she wore a simple pale blue sports bra that hugged her chest. Her small, shapely breasts outlined by the soft fabric. Alex kissed her collarbone, letting his lips trail downward, savoring the scent of her skin. Emma's hands found his, guiding them to her back, inviting him to go further. Alex hooked his thumbs into the waistband of her shorts, sliding them down her hips, revealing matching blue panties cut high on her thighs and hugging her round, toned bottom. She stepped out of her shorts, standing before him in just her underwear, hair cascading down her back. For a moment, they just looked at each other, breathing in the closeness, the risk. Then Alex pulled her gently to the bed, laying her down among the tangled sheets. Emma's legs twined with his, her body soft and warm beneath his touch. They moved together in slow, deliberate motions, each kiss and caress loaded with a new urgency. Fear of being discovered, the thrill of knowing how much was at stake. Their passion was a mix of tenderness and hunger, hands and lips exploring, learning, memorizing every detail. Afterwards, they lay in silence, Emma tracing lazy patterns on Alex's chest. The weight of her confession hung in the air, but for the moment, it seemed far away. "You should hate me," Emma murmured, her voice muffled against his skin. Alex shook his head, pulling her closer. "I could never hate you." She looked up at him, her eyes shining. "I never meant to fall for you. I just wanted to feel alive again, but now I don't know how to stop." Alex understood. He felt it too, the heady mix of desire, guilt, and something dangerously close to love. The next morning, Alex dressed quietly while Emma slept, the pale light slipping through the curtains and painting her skin gold. He watched her, peaceful and tangled in the sheets, and felt a surge of affection so fierce it frightened him. He slipped out, leaving a note on the pillow. "Thank you. I needed this. I'll call you soon." On his way home, Alex's phone buzzed with a message from Sarah. "We need to talk tonight. Please come home early." Alex's chest tightened. As he drove, memories of Emma lingered. Her laugh, her touch, her secrets. But now, he could feel the world closing in around him, a storm building on the horizon. Back home, Sarah greeted him with a long, searching look. "Is there something you want to tell me?" she asked quietly. Alex hesitated, weighing truth against safety, longing against duty. The secrets, the risks, the thrill, all of it felt suddenly precarious, as if the life he had built could topple with a single word. But he said nothing. Not yet. That night, he stared at the ceiling, listening to the silence and wondering what secrets Emma still kept, and whether he could survive the fallout of their affair. The next week unfolded in a haze of tension and uncertainty. For Alex, every hour was stretched between guilt and longing, each day a careful dance to avoid Sarah's probing questions and Emma's silences. He was caught in a web, one he had woven, strand by strand, with secrets and stolen moments. Emma, once so open and eager, grew elusive. She messaged less, sometimes vanishing for days. When Alex called, her answers were brief, full of half-truths and vague promises to meet soon. He tried not to let paranoia take hold, but it gnawed at him all the same. Was she bored? Hiding something? Or was it simply the reality of their affair, built on lies, now returning to haunt them? Then Chris messaged Alex one evening. "Party at my place Friday. Jess and Brian are coming. You in?" Alex hesitated. Parties had lost their appeal, but the idea of seeing Emma in another setting, of escaping his restless thoughts, drew him in. "I'll be there," he replied. Friday arrived heavy with summer heat. Alex made excuses to Sarah, telling her it was just a work thing, nothing special. She barely looked up from her phone, but her tone was flat. "Don't be late." Chris lived in a sprawling loft at the edge of the city, all exposed brick and huge windows. The place buzzed with laughter, music, and clinking glasses. Jessica, dazzling in a red dress, waved Alex over. Brian lounged on the couch with a beer. The familiar faces made Alex feel lighter, almost normal. He looked around, scanning the crowd for Emma. She appeared 20 minutes later, stepping through the door on the arm of another man. Alex's breath caught. Emma was stunning. She wore a sleek black skirt that hugged her hips, ending mid-thigh, and a short, shimmering silver top with delicate straps that bared her shoulders and hinted at the curve of her waist. Her hair was styled in loose, glossy curls that framed her face. Her lips painted a deep berry shade. On her feet were black heels, adding elegance to her stride. The fabric of her skirt pulled just slightly, revealing the outline of black lace underwear beneath when she moved. Her body was as graceful and alluring as Alex remembered. Slim waist, gently rounded hips, firm athletic legs, and a confident feminine poise. The man beside her, Tom, was tall, with broad shoulders and an easy grin. Emma spotted Alex across the room, her expression unreadable for a split second before she smiled and waved. Tom leaned in, murmuring something in her ear, and Emma laughed, her hand resting on his arm. Jealousy surged in Alex's chest, sharp and irrational. He tried to focus on conversation, but his eyes kept drifting to Emma. She laughed, drank wine, chatted with the others, but every so often, her gaze flicked toward Alex, lingering just a moment too long. As the night deepened, the party thinned out. Chris, ever the gracious host, offered up his guest room to those who had too much to drink. Alex found himself in the kitchen, filling a glass of water, when Emma slipped in behind him. "Hey, stranger," she whispered, so softly only he could hear. Alex turned, heart pounding. "I thought you were busy tonight." Emma shrugged, a playful glint in her eyes. Plans changed. She leaned back against the counter, her skirt riding up to reveal more of her toned thighs. The edge of her top slid slightly, revealing a sliver of black lace beneath. Alex stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Is Tom your boyfriend?" Emma smiled, enigmatic. "Does it matter?" He wanted to press, to ask why she had brought another man, but Emma laid a finger on his lips. "Shh, come with me." She led him through the dimly lit hallway to the guest room. Once inside, Emma locked the door and turned to face him. Her eyes were bright, restless with adrenaline. She closed the distance between them, her fingers sliding up Alex's chest to his collar. She kissed him, quick, urgent, then guided his hands to her waist. Alex felt the smooth fabric of her skirt, the heat of her skin beneath. Emma pressed against him, her body warm and eager, her hands already tugging his shirt free. He kissed her deeply, his hands sliding up her sides, feeling the delicate shimmer of her top, the way it clung to her chest. Emma gasped softly as he traced her ribs, then slipped his hand beneath the hem of her top, encountering the lace of her black bra. Her breasts were small but perfectly shaped, the lace molding gently to their curves. Emma arched against him, her breath catching. She reached for his belt, her movements bold, her eyes daring. Alex let her undress him, feeling his heart hammer in his chest. Emma's skirt slid up, baring her hips and the edge of black lace panties. Delicate, intricate, perfectly matched to her bra. Her skin was warm and soft beneath his hands, her hips curving invitingly into his touch. They tumbled onto the bed, hands exploring, mouths finding new places to kiss, every movement laced with urgency and forbidden thrill. Emma wrapped her legs around Alex, drawing him closer, her body alive with longing. They moved together, slow at first, savoring the risk, the fear of being discovered just outside the door. Each kiss was a promise, every touch a secret. The world faded away until there was only Emma. Her laughter, her sighs, the arch of her body against his. Afterwards, they lay tangled in the sheets, the sounds of the party muffled by the closed door. Emma's breathing was still fast, her face flushed, her hair a wild halo on the pillow. Alex propped himself up on his elbow, studying her in the low light. "Why did you bring Tom?" he asked quietly. Emma hesitated, her eyes flickering. "He's just a friend. We met at the gym. I needed cover, I guess, to keep things from being too obvious." Alex frowned. "Obvious to who?" Emma rolled onto her side, her face suddenly serious. "People talk, Alex, about you, about us. Chris isn't stupid. Neither is Jess." A chill ran through Alex. He remembered Chris's odd look earlier, Jessica's curious glances. Emma traced a finger over his chest. "I know this is risky, maybe too risky. Sometimes I wonder if I should just disappear for a while. Would you miss me?" Alex caught her hand, bringing it to his lips. "You know I would." For a while, they simply lay there, lost in their own thoughts. Outside, the party faded, people saying goodbyes in the hallway. Before Alex left, Emma pressed a kiss to his lips, lingering and bittersweet. "See you soon, night," she whispered, slipping quietly out of the room. Alex dressed in silence and stepped back into the night, the city air cool on his skin. Questions swirled in his mind. Was Emma hiding something more? Was he? The boundaries between game and reality, between love and obsession, had blurred almost beyond recognition. As he drove home, Alex realized he was no longer sure which game he was playing or which side he wanted to win. For the next few days, Alex could not find rest. He went through the motions of daily life, but every moment felt heavy. His mind was a tangle of memories, longing, and anxiety. The thrill of risk that once excited him now flickered into dread. Sarah grew colder. Emma grew quieter. Every glance, every message seemed weighted with unspoken truths. One evening, Alex came home to find Sarah sitting at the kitchen table, her phone on the counter, eyes swollen and tired. She looked up as he entered, her gaze sharp and steady. "We need to talk," she said, her voice low but clear. Alex's heart dropped. He forced himself to sit, folding his hands to keep them from shaking. Sarah slid her phone across the table. On the screen, a familiar chat thread scrolled past. Messages between Alex and Emma, lines of teasing affection, even a few of Emma's photos. Alex felt the blood drain from his face. "I saw everything," Sarah said quietly. "Your phone backed up to the cloud." I found it by accident. I read it all. For a long moment, silence filled the kitchen. Alex struggled to speak, but Sarah shook her head. I don't want to hear excuses. I just want the truth. Are you in love with her? The question stung more than any accusation. Alex closed his eyes, searching for the answer in his own heart. I don't know, he whispered. Maybe. But I never meant to hurt you. Sarah stared at him, her jaw clenched, eyes shining. You could have just talked to me. You could have told me you were unhappy. Alex reached for her hand, but she pulled away. I'm not leaving, she said quietly, but I need time. And I need you to be honest, starting now. He nodded, unable to do anything but accept her terms. The truth was laid bare. No more secrets. For the first time in weeks, Alex felt a strange relief, even as pain rolled over him in slow, heavy waves. After Sarah went to bed, Alex sat alone, staring at the screen, at the chat with Emma. Every word felt different now, tinged with regret, sweetness, loss. He hesitated, then typed, Sarah knows. I'm sorry. Emma replied almost instantly. It was always going to happen, wasn't it? I wish things could have been different. The next day, Alex tried to focus on work, but he could not shake the sense that everything had shifted. Emma did not message. Sarah was distant but civil, holding to her promise of honesty, but leaving a wide, aching space between them. Later that evening, Alex's phone buzzed. Emma, let's talk one last time. He met her at a quiet park, the sky painted in shades of lavender and peach. Emma sat on a bench, arms folded over her knees, hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She wore a plain white tank top, light jeans that fit her slim, athletic frame, and comfortable sneakers. There was no trace of the glamorous Emma from the party. No hint of mystery. Just a woman, bare and real. Alex sat beside her, close but not touching. For a while they just watched the sky, letting the silence settle. Finally, Emma spoke. I never wanted to hurt you, Alex. Or Sarah. But I think I was looking for something I couldn't find anywhere else. A way to feel alive. I kept thinking I could stop whenever I wanted. But I didn't want to stop. Alex nodded, feeling the truth in her words, reflected in his own heart. I lied to you, Emma said softly. Not just about knowing you were married. About Tom, too. He's just a friend. But I let you think otherwise. I needed to feel wanted, needed. I'm sorry. She looked at him, eyes clear, no longer hiding. We can't go back, can we? Alex shook his head. No, but I don't regret it. I don't regret you. Emma smiled, sad but warm. Me neither. She leaned in, pressing a gentle kiss to his cheek. A goodbye, soft and final. For a moment, time paused. Alex closed his eyes, savoring the weight of her body leaning into his, the scent of her hair, the soft brush of her lips. He let himself remember the thrill of their first messages, the feel of her skin beneath his hands, the laughter and secrets shared in the dark. It was a memory he would keep, tender and undramatic, a chapter closed but not erased. Emma stood, brushing off her jeans. "Take care, Alex, and be good to Sarah." He watched her walk away, her figure shrinking against the wide open sky. Alex sat for a long time on that bench, letting the cool evening air settle his thoughts. He thought of Sarah, the life they had built, the hurt in her eyes, but also the hope. He remembered Emma, her laughter, her daring, her mystery and her honesty at the end. He did not feel destroyed, or broken, or damned. He felt changed. That night, he returned home. The lights were low, the house quiet. Sarah was reading in the living room. Alex sat beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched. They did not talk much, but the silence was different now. No more secrets, just the simple truth, heavy but clean. Later, as Alex lay awake, he realized he was not looking for escape anymore. The excitement, the danger, it had taught him something, both about what he wanted and what he stood to lose. He reached for Sarah's hand in the dark. After a moment, she squeezed back. It was not perfect. It was not easy. But it was real. And sometimes that was enough.